Good morning, everybody. 8:15 a.m. It is May 6th. Welcome to my channel. Now, this market's crazy. Okay, absolutely insane. We are pulling back a little bit right now, but wow, possible end to this war. Crude down. Well, it was down 8.5%. Now something might have changed. I'm not sure. This could just be profit take. I'm not sure. So okay, but still down 7.5% right now. Crude. AMD. Holy mackerel. Insanity. I think it was up to close to 20% earlier, but now it's 16.8. God, that's one of my larger positions I have in my portfolio. I just trimmed it last week at 350. Oh, it's at 415 right now. Craziness. Also on Qualcomm. Morning, Chief. Qualcomm, I thought about adding at 120s. Boy, it's almost at 200 now. This is just crazy. It's insanity. It's all you can say. Okay? It's just mind blowing. This market can just. Now, this isn't going to end well. There's going to be a pullback and it's going to be nasty eventually. However, you got to ride the momentum. Okay? This is not sustainable. Okay? This momentum is strong. You don't really want to fight it. Okay? Yesterday, that market was horrendous price action. I wanted to be long. I had a pullback come to the 72 area. I just didn't like the price action. Even when it pulled back there, the market friggin' traded like a barcode for the next like hour or two. And then it eventually moved up, which I thought it would, but it just wasn't a trade I was willing to put risk on. I was just like, all right, I mean, this should go up, but like, yeah. And then once AMD hit, poof, oof, just insanity. Really is. Just a crazy market. Craziness. All right. Now, AMD, the one big boy we got left is Nvidia. Nvidia reports earnings on May 20th, for 2 weeks from today. That will end the big boy earnings. And Nvidia has pulled back to 200. Now, yesterday it was around the 196s, all right, where it closed. Now it moved up a little bit, $4 to 200, but it has taken a fall. So the next 2 weeks, I don't know what the market's really going to do because semis are on fire again. I mean, they're up 3% today. I mean, this is just crazy. Okay? It is really insane. Craziness and speechless almost. All right. We have a lot of Fed speak today. Crude inventories. Let's get into it. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile and find profile to find structure in the markets. Along with supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That's how I come with game plans. Okay. Now, once that market opens up, I use my market internals. Lets me know what's going on under the hood of the market. Along with Anchor VWAPs, little ICT smart money concepts, and my weekly expected move indicator that I gave you for free for Thicker Swim on my Discord, along with the gamma flip points that are pivot points in the markets I give away as well on my Discord in the morning once that market opens. Okay, the weekly expected move I do every Monday morning. All right. Now, hopefully you join me every morning. Subscribe, set that alert. I give you the market story, the economic calendar, the market news, the leaders and laggards, technical analysis, and I always, towards the end of the stream, give you the ES and the NASDAQ long and short trade scenarios. All right. Now, if you want more in-depth coverage, you will join my Discord. It's Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. All right. Let me be your indicator. Alrighty. Let's go right into the futures watch list here in this crazy market. All right. We have silver up 4.25%. We have gold up 2.5%. Ethereum up 1.64. Russell's up 1.37. Nasdaq's up 1.25. Bitcoin up 0.89. Bitcoin finally broke above the 80 grand. All right. 80K. It's got poor structure. Gets ready to start the run now. We'll see. Dow up 0.76. ES up 0.73. 30-year bonds are being bought. Just 10 yields lower. Dollar is down 0.55. 10-year yield has fallen 0.88. VIX is down 4.60%, down to a 16.58 VIX. Crude down 7.5% at $94.60 a barrel. All right. Max 7 Plus, you're going to see it. Boom, AMD. AMD, my lord, my lord, my lord. Up 17.27%. It's at 416. Closed at 355. Crazy. GE up almost 5%. Boeing up 3.64%. Nvidia up 2%. Broadcom up almost 2%. Google up over 1.5%. Coinbase up 1.37%. Who's lagging? Netflix down 0.25%. Microsoft down 0.29%. Microsoft not joining the party. Apple down 0.82%. Okay. Top sectors. Uber is up 6.72%. Followed by Qualcomm up 5.5%. Qualcomm's on a run. That was at 120 not long ago. All right. NEM mining up 5.29%. Disney up 4.20%. I believe they reported earnings this morning. GEV Vernova, that's my baby, up 2%. Home Depot up 1.79%. Caterpillar up 1.5%. Goldman Sachs up 1.5%. Who's lagging today? Johnson & Johnson, safety play, right? Down almost 0.5%. Costco down over 0.5%, safety play. Walmart down 0.8%. Oh, safety play. Chevron and Exxon with crude pulling back down over 3.70%. Granular list, let's look at it. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. That's not what I wanted to do. Hold on. All right, let's go to the granular list here. That is not the granular list. This is the granular list. Woo! Super Microcomputers, I believe they reported earnings. Up 12.86%. ARM, Semi, believe they reported earnings. Up 11, or they're going to report earnings. Up 11%. Oscar Health, up 9.42%. Oklo, Nuclear Energy, up 7.31%. AMC, up 60.92%. United Airlines, Delta Airlines, Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines, Southwest Airlines, Carnival Cruise, a bunch of travel and airlines up. ASTS, just the market's up. Woo. All right, who's down today? Whoa. I believe this is Tandem Diabetes. That is down 20.78%. This is Arista, I believe, down 7.54%. I believe they just reported earnings. Devon Energy down 6.10%. So you got energy stocks pulling back here. Makes sense, right? I don't have to get into all of them. There we are. Now you can see some cybersecurity, some SaaS not in this market rally. It's all about the CPU, AMD, CPU. Okay? Now, let's sectors. No surprise. Semiconductors up 3.39%, followed by technology up 1.74%, followed by industrials up 1.45%, discretionary up basically a percent. Basic materials are up. Just everything is up but energy. Energy does not move the markets, folks. It does not move the markets. That sector does not move markets. So even though it's down 3.89%, the market will not feel it. Okay? This is just insanity. We just pulled back and it's getting bought up. Unbelievable. Moving on. Economic calendar today. Okay, we just had ADP. Employment changed. We were expecting 99. We got 109. 30-year mortgage went up. Was previous 6.37, now 6.45. Let's see. Moving on. Crude inventories. Expecting a draw today. We'll see. And then we got Fed Goolsby, Fed Hammock at 1 and 1:30. All right, let's go to the Trump schedule today. Let's see. He's participating in a Mother's Day event at 12:30. I don't. Who knows what he's going to say today? Okay, let's look at. Let's just refresh this here. Let's see. We'll go over a little U.S. and Iran closing in on a one-page memo to end war. That was at 4:50 in the morning. Nothing agreed yet. U.S. sees Iran responses next 48 hours. Then 6:43 a.m. Iran's Revolutionary Guards Navy with the end of threats from aggressors and in the light of new procedures, safe and stable transit through the strait will be possible. It's all bullish, right? But at 8:15, it looks like Trump tells New York Post, it is too soon to prep for Iran peace signing. That's probably what brought down the markets just there. Trump saying that. Okay. Now, he also said at 7:43, Trump on Iran, if Iran agrees, if Iran agrees, epic fury will be at the end. And highly effective blockade will allow Hormuz Strait to be open to all, including Iran. But he also said the bombing. If Iran doesn't agree to deal, the bombing starts. Well, we all know. Who knows if he follows through with that? Okay, but what was set up there, it is too soon. That brought down the markets a little bit. Have since been bought up. Let's see if there's any kind of round news. This site actually is not looking too hot right now. It's okay. We'll go to some more news. Disney earnings beat estimates as new CEO outlines growth strategy. AMD forecast sparks AI-driven rally in U.S. chipmaker stocks. U.S. semiconductor stocks rose at events. Micro Devices' strong outlook boosted investor confidence about sustained demand for AI infrastructure, and that a shift towards CPUs would spur the next leg of spending. Okay, SpaceX files plan for $55 billion terafab chip facility in Texas. Rivian develops variants of its more affordable R2 RVs. California's highest court to consider whether drug makers have duty to innovate. Okay. A potential peace agreement between the United States and Iran set the tone for global markets, lifting risk appetite and pushing Wall Street futures higher. Easing geopolitical tensions, coupled with continued optimism around artificial intelligence, help support the upbeat investor mood. Focus later in the day is expected to turn to corporate earnings for Warner Brothers Discovery, along with comments from Federal Reserve officials Alberto Musalem and Austin Goolsby, which may offer further clues on the policy outlook. Okay. AMD, so Arista's down. So let's see. The company topped Wall Street estimates for the first quarter and forecast second quarter results slightly ahead of estimates on Tuesday, but the beat fell short of investors' elevated expectations after a sharp rally in the networking equipment maker shares. For the first quarter ended March 31st, Arista revenue was $2.71 billion, beating analyst estimates of $2.6 billion, according to data compiled by the LSEG. It earned 87 cents per share on an adjusted basis during the quarter, compared with 81 cents per share a year earlier. The market is used to strong beats from Arista, and today we don't think the beat and full-year guidance raise was enough for the market. Interesting. Looks like Meta, the company, is building out a highly personalized artificial intelligence system to carry out everyday tasks for its billions of users. Interesting. So let's look at these analyst recommendations. Abercrombie and Fitch, Barclays downgrades rating to underweight from equal weight. All right. Cuts target price to 76 from 95. Advanced Micro Devices, which is AMD. Jefferies raises its target price to 415 from 300. Okay. Woo. Woo, woo. Alrighty. Now, what are we going to look into? Let's see if this came back. It did. It did. Is there anything else here? Here we go. Let's go. All right. I'm only going to mention anything that I didn't mention. Nothing there that I really have to talk about. All right, we're going to talk about breadth here. Let's just see how breadth looks. Obviously, it's going to change from today, but we're going to look at the breadth. Okay, here's semis, which have been out of control. Semiconductors currently at 540. 540. Okay? That's crazy. Okay? We're going to look at the breadth together. Let's do it. First, we're going to look at the 20 days of moving average, just what it did yesterday. Okay? Yesterday got a little better, but 50% still nothing crazy. So the overall market is like middling. Okay? 50, slower day moving average, 52%. So we know this market's getting driven by semiconductors and technology. It's not a shocker. We already know this. This is just proof of the pudding. Now we go to bullish percent index, a beautiful way to look at the markets. Okay, bullish percent index gives me the percentage of stocks on buy signals according to point and figure charts. Doesn't use time in point and figure charts, so that's what I like to see. 57%. So right out of 500 stocks, only 57% are on buy signals. That is very middling. Okay, let's see if the Nasdaq, which was relatively stronger yesterday, 60. All right. Now let's drill in to technology here. 73. 73% on buy signals. So we're starting, not yet, and you get in the 80s. That's when you start to get frothy. Because look, we were up into the 81s and we pulled back. Okay, 80s, we'll put it on notice. 80s, we'll put it on notice. Now, communications have not been getting a lot of love lately. See, it's 52%. It's not getting a lot of love. Okay, Meta's pulled back. Let's go into financials. Financials are pulling back. Okay, remember, this is not a broad market rally right now. Discretionary, that's your Tesla, Amazon, your Home Depot. Oops, sorry. Look at that. Tesla actually opened and ripped, but Amazon and Tesla both kind of opened, ripped up, and pulled back yesterday. Okay? So discretionary kind of makes sense that it's like starting to pull back. Why? Because those are discretionary, right? When people have funds and money, they're going to spend on discretionary. Okay? This is showing you with oil up so high that it's pulling back. That makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. Now, healthcare has been getting beat up. I'm saying that I'm going to start to look at this sector. Now, yesterday, it did move up a tiny bit, but it was getting oversold. So I'm looking into that. Real estate has been also on a little bit of a tear. I know this is real. Okay, so look at that. Oh boy, that was really oversold here. Now it's getting frothy. Okay, now it's getting frothy. And the energy, I was looking at that too. If you were watching me, energy was down here, oversold. And look at that. Now today, obviously, it's pulling back. We'll look at industrials here. And look at that, middling. Okay? So that's breadth charts. All right, we're going to move on now. We're going to look at those internals. Now, yesterday, everything told me to be long. It just was a horrible price action. Horrible. Like barcode. Okay, so let's look at price action. Now, if I would have entered each time, and I know one of my community members, good friends, was with me, and I was like, wow, this first pullback was a buy, and it went up, right? And then I said, oh, look, we're testing the previous day's highs again. That's probably a buy again because negative news came out. And I was like, that's probably an excuse to get long. Look at that. And then it pulled back again. Right in this pullback is where I wanted to get long, and I just didn't trust it. And then look what it did. Sideways. And then it lifted. And then you get a little sell-off towards the end of the day. Look what drove the market yesterday. In technology, it was up 1%. It's 35%. It's even larger now. It's larger. I do this monthly, but this is larger now. This is probably 35, 36% of the market cap weight now. That is just a monstrous. That is just crazy. Okay, so you have financials at 35, financials at 12. Okay, that's 47% of the market cap weight in two sectors, and then communications is 11. Discretionary is 9.97, 10. Those top four sectors are like pretty much what move the markets. Okay, that's your market internals recap. Now we're gonna go to dailies. Let's do it. I mean, this is just insanity. Insanity. Okay, really is insanity. Okay, let's just look at the daily charts here. That's crazy from what is that? March 30th. That is insane. Right at that 2025 anchor VWAP bar, I was like, man, oh man, if I got long there and just held it, woo-wee. Right? Okay. Now, that little pink line, magenta, whatever, that's last week's close. So obviously, look what we did. We broke all-time highs. We just nipped last week's highs. So as far as that, yesterday, we were all right. We just hit last week's highs. However, we are at 729.35 right now, all the way gapping up, big time. And big gaps are never easy to trade. They're horrible. Okay? Never fun to trade big gaps like this. It's pretty much an exhaustion gap a little bit. Look, you have two daily highs pretty much here, and now you're way up there. Any shorts that were in the market got smoked. Smoked, right? And this market, right, if you would have saw Friday's close like this at the lows, had a wick, you would have thought, oh boy, shorts probably came into this market thinking, all right, this is over. This is over. No. Now, let's look at futures. Here's futures, okay? So look at that sideways. Boy, oh boy. And then you had a little breakout, sideways, boom. New all-time highs. This is insanity, folks. Really crazy. And these pullbacks to the 9 EMA are really time-based, not price-based. There was no really pullback. This market really did not just pull back very hard at all. The momentum is strong. Qs is insanity. Okay. Now yesterday, look, you had an exhaustion gap. Over two of these, you opened and gapped up and moved higher, making new all-time highs yesterday. But where is it at now? You closed at 681 yesterday. You're at 689.45 right now. Unbelievable. Okay. Now my expected move to the upside is 694. You can see it right there. Okay. We're not by it yet. We're $4 away. Does it hit it? I don't know. All right. I don't know. Now look at the Qs. Has never hit its 9 EMA daily. That is a strong, strong, strong move. RSI is overbought from 428. It's redlining. Right? That's why, like, for me, I look at that and I go, all right, that's a data point. That's a data point, but like, do I short it because of that? No. Right? Nope. Futures. Whew. Futures. You really didn't have, you had a little sideways action here, and then boom, boom, boom. Wow. Are we going to hit 30,000? It's out of control. Now you got a daily demand here. Let's put that on the chart. So I'd be very cautious if we hit this daily demand here. Right around the two, let's call it 278s, 28,000s. Pull back there. Last week's high is probably viable. Who knows? This is insanity. Insanity. All right. Hourlies. Let's get into the hourlies. Like I said, Trump said that peace deal is not close to being signed, or whatever he said. That pulled the markets back. All right. I'm going to put a little swing high here. This is all-time highs now. Okay. All right, this is insanity, folks. Now, let's look at a couple things here. Hourly charts here. We are going to look at there's not much to analyze here. Smoking up like that. Okay. So, we got to just talk about this demand. This demand zone here, major demand zone. So that starts at 73.20. 73.20. There's demand here. Okay. Also got a bullish fair value gap right there about 73.22. That's probably, if you do get a pullback, I would not short that. Now 7,300, which is a psychological number, was last week's highs. Okay. If that's defended, you probably got to be long. All right, we're in uncharted territory up here. Now you have the overnight highs as the all-time highs. Big gaps, huge gaps like this are very, very hard to trade. The market has to digest it. Probably easier to trade individual stock. Okay, there's not much. Now, the only thing I can say about this is this is pretty good here, right? This is a nice wall. That 73.20s, like I said. If you get through the 72.80s around, okay, this, my friends, could fall apart very easily. So, but we're not there. All right, we're not there. Nasdaq. This is the real out of control monster here. Okay. So, major demand starting at 28247s. You got another demand zone at 28359s. Okay. And a bullish fair value gap at 28415s. Okay. So, I would look at the 28246s as support. You don't really want to lose that. Okay. 281 below 281s, you get a little squirrely. But like I said, this has to get cut through this. I think anywhere in this area, 284s to 283s, you're probably looking at some type of viable pullback. Okay, now this is almost forming a supply up here. Right? This, like I said, the semis, this move, we're going to get a nasty pullback one day. It just, nobody knows when. You don't know when that's going to happen. It's probably going to happen. I mean, this is pretty parabolic. So, you need a couple of days of semis, profit taking or something. Now, like I said, 2 weeks from today is NVIDIA's earnings. So maybe the market waits till that time to discern what they want to do. So that's on the horizon. Okay? That is your hourlies. We're going to move on now. Market profile, volume profile. We're going to get into scenarios. Okay? This freaking wild market. Out of control market. Out of control market. This is your market profile and your volume profile. Now, huge gap, okay? Like I said this before, never easy to trade these gaps. All right, we're going to get right into scenarios, long and short. Trade scenarios in the ES. Let's do it. So what we're going to do, we're going to break out this session. This is the price action, 30-minute bars, okay? I just mentioned some major levels, okay? Some major levels, all right? Now, in a gap, we got to mark off some levels here. Number one, big gaps 50% retracement of the overnight. That is 73.2550. Mark it off. The next one you want to mark off is yesterday's highs, which happens to be, let's just round it off to 7,300, which is, again, last week's highs and yesterday's highs. Okay? Pretty simple. Major level, 72.84. That's your overnight lows. Also, the most traded price of the week. In the bottom of a demand zone. That is key support. You really want to just not lose that. Okay? You got to be bullish above the 72.80s. The bottom line. Okay? There probably will be some profit taking. Okay? Now, we're going to get right into scenarios here, and we're going to start with the obvious is the longs, the bull case. Now, right now, you're pretty much 100% net long. We're not up at the top, okay? More near the midpoint of the overnights. Now, we do have some thin volume here. So, remember that major demand, 73.20s, okay? That, if you pull back, right, to the midpoint, I would rather hit this bullish for value gap or demand. Any pullback in here is viable, okay? If you jump back out of there, retest, right, with a lower high, you're going to target overnight highs, all-time highs, and then hold one on and see how far we can go. Maybe to 7,400. I don't know. Now, that is optimal. Number two, if you pull back harder, fill the gap. Okay, you could also launch off a long, targeting overnight highs. Again, this is all longs. If you pull back to 72.80s, around that area, 87 to 80, okay, and you do one of these, but you don't spend time underneath 72.80s, all right, let's call it 72.85s. If you come back up, retest the 72, around 85, 87 area, okay, you want to go long. Notice the trend, what I'm saying, long, 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 okay? That's my longs I'm interested in. You get the drift? Now, of course, you can open up and gap and go. I'm not really liking that. Okay? I'm not really the gap and go guy. That is my long scenarios. Shorts, there is going to be something to do. Okay? Do I like them? Not really. All right? Semis have to have money flows out of them today. Technology. Something has to happen, probably news-wise, but let's get into it. What would I like to see if I'm going to even try to short? Okay? Well, number one would be let's rip up, make new all-time highs. Let's sweep the overnight highs, come back into range, make a lower high, and I want technology and semis to be red off the open. Okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to go target this demand zone, 73.20. If you hold the runner, you go fill that gap at 7,300. Okay? Now, if this manages to rip through the 72.85 area and finds acceptance below the most traded price of yesterday and of the week, oof, this could get nasty. This could get nasty, okay? You could possibly drop down to like the 72.46s, and this could get very, very nasty. I don't see that happening without some news catalyst. Honestly, I just don't want to short. I just know that it's going to be hard to, unless there's something that comes out, okay? That's your ES. Now, moving on to the NASDAQ, which has been just out of control. Oh, that's not it. All right, I got to make this smaller. Now, oh boy. I didn't see this. It didn't load right. Give me a sec here, folks. Give me a second. Give me 1 second. Just have to load this chart. I didn't realize that this didn't load. That's annoying. Give me 1 second here. I usually notice that, but I didn't notice it today. It will still take a sec. What the heck? All right, let's see. Let's see how we can do here with getting this back. In the meantime, let's see if we can look at a daily chart. Okay, this is the ES daily chart. Most traded price of the year. This is the 69.39s. Look at this friggin' move. Unbelievable. We are thinning out though. So notice we're tapering the volume. Okay? The more you thin out, we move up, 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 the more it's going to come back down. Okay? Just like in an everyday session, NASDAQ is out of control. Look at that. Wow, I can't even fit it in the screen here. That is out of control. Boy, you were down at like, say, 23,000, and you're at 5,000 points. It's just crazy. It's just insane. Insanity. Okay? Insanity. We can look at crude. Look at crude. Look at that move. Now it's recovering a little bit. Look at that. Off the lows, it hit $88.66 a barrel. And now has since come back to where the most traded price of the month is around $95 a barrel. Remember, that's the warm, snuggly bed with crude. 95, it likes it. Okay, look at that high volume node there. It came right back to it. That's quite a recovery. I don't know if people don't trust this yet. $8 a barrel off the lows. Pretty insane. Okay. We're kind of middling here in the ES. Waiting for the... I'm sorry, folks. The ticks in the NASDAQ are so much, and they're so data heavy. And my charts are based on tick by tick. It takes a second for these to load. All right. Now it should load momentarily. I apologize for this. Probably everybody just moved on. I wish I saw this earlier. That's a pain in the butt. Pain in the butt. And what's worse is it has to load in all my workspaces, which that's why it's taking even longer. That is annoying. Okay. That is very annoying. Let me see if I can do a quick workup here. Because it's trying to load both my workspaces, which is why it's taking so long. I'm just hoping it pops up here. Sorry, and again, apologize for this. This is just, usually I notice this. And like I said, I have multiple workspaces, and the ticks are just so data heavy. Ticks, so many ticks. That's horrible. Horrible. I think I'm just going to have to go to my hourly chart here and do it scenarios here. I'm going to have to do them on the hourlies. Maybe not, folks. All right, I'm going to have to call it here. I'm not going to I want to give you a good scenarios for the Nasdaq. And today Like I said, I have two workspaces, and it's a lot to redo the data. So give me 1 second here. Oh, finally got there. Unbelievable. Finally got there. Whoever's with me, thank you for holding on. All right. Let's get into the NASDAQ long trade scenarios. Geez, that was annoying. And thank you for who held on. I don't blame you if you left. All right, let's break out the session. So, big gaps here. We mark off. This is the long and short trade scenarios in the NASDAQ futures, okay? So, what are we going to mark off first? The 50% retracement of the overnight. That is 28369s. That lines up perfectly with a demand and a bullish for value gap here. Your gap fill is 28189s. Okay. Now, the most traded price yesterday, let's call it 28135, lines up right with the overnight lows and this big demand zone. So, you don't want to lose the 280s, okay? Or the 28084s. That's bottom line here. Okay, so very easy here. Easy, but not easy to trade it. All right. So, pull back. Now, if you go back to the midpoint, I just call this sweet spot, like call it 28369s in this area. Pull back. Get buying here. Happens to also be the overnight VPOC right there at 28333. If you get a nice push and you get that higher low, you're going to target the all-time highs, which is overnight highs, which is 28634s. 28634s. Okay. Now, again, any pullback into this demand is viable. All right. So that demand starts at 28359s to 28262s. Anywhere in that range, you could go, feel free to go long and target all-time highs, which is the overnight highs, 28634s. Okay, now you have another major demand that starts at 28247 and goes down to a support of 28091s. The 28091s is going to be your line in the sand. I don't really want to be long below that. So another pullback in this area, let's call it 28135s. All right. Then you retest the 28135s with a higher low. You just go long and target the overnight highs. Okay. Now, in order in the macro picture for the NASDAQ to get weak, you have to break the 27880s, which is the most traded price of the week. That's how far you'd have to drop to even challenge and say, ooh, we might get some selling now. Okay. So we're going to look over the shorts. Now, it looks like there might be a little supply at the top here in NASDAQ. Okay. However, again, this is a very hard short. Okay. So we're going to go over it again. Not again, but we're going to go over how shorts are not easy in this market. So if this market rips up, gaps and goes, rips up, breaks the overnight highs to 8634s, but then sweeps, comes back into range, okay, to the overnight range, you get a lower high. You short that, targeting the top of that demand zone, okay? That is going to be your 28359s. Okay. Now, if you want to hold on, you go to the next demand zone, the 28247s. Okay. And I would think, I don't know if this is possible, but if there's some weakness, you can go all the way down to the 281s. I am not really going to short other than this short up here. If I even do it, I'm telling you right now, I'm probably not going to do it. Unless some news comes out that Iran's not ready to, whatever. Okay? It's kind of all I'm interested in. It's not a lot, I know, but I have to be honest with you, I'm not a fan of shorts right now. Okay, let me give you my macro overlook. whoever's still stuck with me when my data failed me today. Okay? So, what do we have this morning? Market is gapping up huge. Large gaps like this are not easy to trade. Okay? Stocks are gapping up. People have to digest all of this information. Big gap ups like this, people take profits in stocks. Some people buy stock. That's why it gets so hard to trade. Okay? Now, Nasdaq has been relatively stronger. It's relatively stronger. The key for today, you want to see what semiconductors do. In technology, you want to see what they do. Do we take profits today? Is today an overall breadth move higher? Or is it more like narrow? Okay? And today I'm going to say be patient. Be patient. Right now it looks like there's some profit taking happening in the Nasdaq. Okay? Remember, it's very hard to trade this. Okay, so the main thing I have to say is this is a lot of momentum. Yes, it could continue to go higher. And we won't know the timing of when it sells off. When you finally get profit taking and people maybe saying, hey, this is not a market I want to be part of. We don't know when that's going to happen. Okay? So my main thing today is that large gaps are hard to trade. And I want to see where technology and semis off the open are. Okay? And also, let's say they're not as strong, but let's say the overall market breadth is moving higher. Well, we're going to move higher. But let's say tech is weak and the overall market is not that strong, then we probably do pull back a little bit. It just won't be easy. Okay? So that's my analysis for today. All right? Smash the like button if you enjoyed that. All right? That would mean a lot to me. Now, as always, I do this every morning. Subscribe, set that alert. Give you the market story, the market news, economic calendar, leaders and laggards, technical analysis, and I just gave you the long and short trade scenarios in the ES and the Nasdaq futures. Okay, if you want more in-depth coverage, you are going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. All right. Now we have our plan today, folks. My plan is I'm going to sit back and I'm going to see if my points that I wanted to get long get triggered. And that's all I can do. Okay? That's all I can do. It's very hard to short all-time highs and big gaps. Okay? Hopefully I see people come into my Discord today. I should be live around 9:45 a.m. All right? If not, I'll see everybody tomorrow morning.